defamation in your own words? Defamation.
Isn't that kind of like, I don't know how to like say it, but like kind of like bad mouthing like a company or something?
Yeah.
Or like an individual, like a personal trainer, like, you're horrible, you suck, and I'm gonna tell everybody, and isn't that kind of what it is, or no?
It is kind of that, but and then kind of like what you say is pretty much saying something about somebody that knowing that it's not true, with the intent to kind of tarnish that person's image or reputation, right? That's kind of what defamation is, right? So kind of our official definition for it is that which tends to injure reputation, to diminish esteem, respect, goodwill, or confidence in which the plaintiff is held, or to excite adverse, derogatory, or unpleasant feelings or opinions against him or her. And don't you like the cartoon? You defend me. Oh, I'll sue you for saying that. We got it. Yes.
So is this like kind of the same as libel or what?
It's actually libel is one of the two types of defamation that we're about to go over, but it is exactly that. Yes, it is exactly libel. Everybody got their definition down? Some of the key, one of the key aspects of it is that the statement, what is said, what is advertised about a person or a company, they have to be untrue, and the person making these statements have to know that they're untrue, and they're just doing it for the purpose of, again, hurting this person's reputation or this organization's reputation. Everybody good? All right. So there are elements, as we now know, also for defamation claims. So we've seen the elements for assault and battery. We saw the elements for negligence. Now we have some elements for a defamation claim. So these are the elements that are required to establish a claim for defamation. The first one is that a false and defamatory statement of fact. So again, the statement has to be untrue. It has to be publicized or to a third party. So publication to a third party. Fault or negligence of the publisher. So that's kind of a saying that the person in a way either didn't do the due diligence to check if the statement was true before they published, or again, they knew that it wasn't true and they still published it, they still kind of made it public. So either of those two, you didn't do your due diligence, make sure that it was true, or you just knew that it wasn't true and still went with it. And then the fourth one is damage or actual injury. So the person being the target of these defamatory statements actually had some negative impact on them because of that, right? Again, the reputation, they kind of lost work because of it, their image and everything else in between, right? So now we're gonna get to, what's your name again? I know it.
Just Jay.
Jay.
Yeah.
Jay Borgen. I know that you're Borgen. Borgen is
Yeah.
So anyways, like Jay was talking about, there are two types of defamation. The first one is, we're gonna go with the libel first. So libel, what is libel? Well, I'm gonna tell you the first one. The first one is slander, and the second one is libel. So slander being the first type of defamation, libel being the second one. What is the difference between the two? Say that aloud.
Written and word of mouth.
All right, written and word of mouth. And kind of like, can you kind of put, let's go with slander. Slander is written. Just kidding. Slander is actually are the comments when the defamatory comments are made orally.
Yes.
Right. So slander is orally. Defamatory comment made orally. And then libel is when the defamatory comments are made public in way of a photograph, cartoons, or are made in print, right? So anything like posting online, or sending pictures or something, or drawing a cartoon that depicts what you're trying to come across, that type of thing. So that's the two differences between the two. Slander made orally, libel, the statements are made, via, any other, channel, print, cartoons, written, photographs, etc. Right? So you see, what? So you see the difference between the two, slander and libel. Okay. You might need to remember the difference between the two, right? So hint to the hint, right? All right. So examples of defamatory statements is when the plaintiff is accused of criminal conduct, the plaintiff is accused of having a loathsome disease, accuses one of being unchaste, what is unchaste? Unchaste. Accuses the plaintiff of misconduct in public office, injures the plaintiff's profession, business, or trade. So typically, defamation falls into one of these categories. Right? When people are trying to hurt and tarnish somebody's reputation, they're gonna go like these places, right? Trying to defame that person by using one of these categories. Does anyone have a anecdote story about defamation? You can change the names, for something that you heard from a friend of a friend of a friend, something that you overheard on a plane ride, or.
Well, I was just listening to a podcast about the whole Amanda Knox thing, which I didn't know a lot about, but there was one reporter in particular that they were focusing on because he was just releasing anything and everything because it was such a sensational story. And he really didn't do his due diligence checking any of it. And even in the interview, he was like, well, what was I supposed to do? Where could I check it? It was basically, it was I heard it, I wrote it.
Yeah.
And he didn't even take back, maybe I should have fact checked these things.
Yeah.
But he didn't even go back on that.
He just
What
went
was I
with it.
supposed to do?
Yeah.
It was be a journalist is what you're supposed to do.
Especially-
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. What did you expect?
And actually something that you just mentioned is very important. In the law we have these different expectations depending on what you know and what your set of skills are. And so if you're a journalist, you're obviously going to be held to a higher standard, especially when it comes to publishing things about somebody else, and then it turns out that you didn't do your due diligence. Even you're probably going to be more a jury or a judge are not going to be that sympathetic towards you, right? You should have known better because you went to school to learn about how to handle this type of situation, right? That's a pretty good example. Anything else that you guys may want to share? You guys are into sharing stuff like that. All right. So defamation has that connection with the First Amendment. It goes something like to promote balance between plaintiff's rights to preserve one's reputation and the defendant's constitutional right of free speech. The Supreme Court has categorized individuals into three groups. So we have that, that right, the freedom of speech, but we also have that notion that, okay, your freedom of speech doesn't allow you to go in and use it to, harm somebody else's reputation, right? So we have three different groups of individuals, and why do you think we want to have these three different groups? Before I show you what the three different groups are. Why would the Supreme Court categorize individuals into three groups? What do you think that's the reason? After really kind of, preserving this balance between people's reputation or preserving that reputation, and then the other side having that freedom of speech. What do you think then the Supreme Court went to, okay, let's categorize people into three different groups? I'm going to show you the groups and then you can answer that question. Oh, I'm not going to show you, I'm going to tell you the groups. The first group is that of public officials. Public officials is the first group. The second one is public figures. The second group is public figures. And then the third group is private figures. Private figures. So public officials, public figures, and then private figures. Those are the three groups the Supreme Court categorized individuals into. Why? What do you think is the reasoning behind it? Kind of having this statement there and thinking about it. Now that you know the three groups. Yes.
I feel like with a lot of things that we've discussed in here too, it kind of has to do with like the measure of harm that's done by sharing or not. So like with a public official, if there's a risk that it's not true, people still might need to know. And that could hurt the public not knowing, whereas if it's a private citizen and you're just hurting their business for no reason, that can harm the public not knowing. So I think just a measure of the like utility versus
Yes.
risk type thing.
Yes, sir. So I hope everybody heard what Amy was saying because it's right on the notes. It's kind of depending on what group you belong to, like public officials, public figures. They usually are on the spotlight and they kind of are there with that knowledge that they're going to be criticized, that they're going to be scrutinized, that their life is going to be picked apart and all of that. So that comes with that professional lifestyle. I don't think it's a lifestyle, professional, like careers. So therefore their expectation of privacy, if you will, is a little bit lower than the private citizen, right? So if you are out there on the red carpets every other weekend and this and that, or on the main stages making announcements and all that, you can also expect to be scrutinized, talked about, criticized, and all of that. Different from what a private citizen would. So, but let's kind of look into it. For the public official is somebody who works for a government and draws a salary from the public payroll. So if you are a public official bringing a defamation lawsuit, you need to prove that the statement was made with actual malice. So if you are a private official bringing a defamation lawsuit, you must prove that the statement was made in actual malice. Too much?
Well, you said private official, right?
Oh, public official. Public
I think
official.
that looks like not really.
Okay, I'm sorry. So if you're a public official bringing a defamation lawsuit, you must prove that the statement was made with actual malice. That it was made with the knowledge that it was false. And that it was made with reckless disregard of whether it was false or true. All right, I'm gonna go back to all of it so that you guys.
Yeah.
All right. The first thing is that you must prove that the statement was made with actual malice. statement was made, must prove statement was made with actual malice. Everybody got that one? The second one is that it was made with knowledge that it was false. So statement was made with knowledge that it was false. Everybody got that one? And then that it was made with reckless disregard whether it was false or not. So you knew it was false, you didn't care that it was false, you still made it. And then the first one is that you did it with ill intent. Alright, everybody got those three? Which one do you need, Brad?
I'm good. No, just making sure.
Very good. Okay. So that is for the public official, right? And you know the characteristic of the person working in for the government and gross salary for the public payroll and cities on this government. And for the public figure, these are people who are, because of their activities, have commanded sufficient and continuing public interest. So we're talking about like your celebrities, right? And remember that we in the sport industry, we do think of our athletes, our star athletes as celebrities, right? So they actually do have that celebrity status, the same as your singers, your actors, actresses, politicians actually also sometimes rise to that level of celebrity status, right? But they kind of fall also on that public figure group. So the public figures are people that, because of the nature of what they do, their activities, have drawn this, continuing public interest. A public figure must prove actual malice to recover damages. A public figure must prove actual malice to recover damages.
To recover damages?
A public figure must prove actual malice to recover damages. And that's all there is for what they have to prove. That there was actually malice and the intent was to, yes.
Is there ever like punitive, is that the word? Like, if maybe there wasn't malice, but it was like total disregard, like that journalist, he was from Italy, but I was just wondering, like, if there's ever been something like, okay, you didn't actually harm the public figure, but like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Onerous fine type of thing?
Yeah.
Do they do that?
Punitive, in that specific example, but he didn't get any compensatory damages against him?
Well, that journalist is in Italy, so it's like
Yeah.
totally disregarded.
Yeah,
but,
so
like,
let's try to think if it was
yeah.
happening here in the US, because we're talking about the US legal system, right? So it's probably really different from what
Yeah.
the Italian do. So he didn't do his due diligence. The court could very well, hand in that punitive damages,
That would probably be a
Senate.
really gray area. with-
Yeah, and remember that the thing about punitive damages is that it's always going to be at the discretion of the court. Right? So they may not, is up to how they see it. They think this person continues to do this. They usually do it because they feel that if left unchecked, the person is going to continue to do that, and that's going to be bad for society and for the community at large, right? And that's how kind of they go about their business. Usually happens if the person doesn't show too much remorse, and the way that you were describing it, this person was like, well, I just saw it, and so coming with that attitude in a court of law, especially here in this country, is probably not going to be to your favor if the case doesn't go your way. Does that make any sense? Because then the judge or whatever is going to remember, and then they're going to be like, well, you didn't even show any remorse for what you did here. Boom, here the damages, right? So again, it's kind of at the discretion of the court. Well, it always is, but it could very well be that in that case they can be awarded. Very good question. All right, so the public figure must prove actual malice to recover damages. Then we have an in-between. Remember, we've already discussed two of the three groups that the Supreme Court categorized individuals. The first one is public, what's the first one? Public officials. This one is public figures, and then there is an in-between one before we go to the third one. The in-between one is called the limited purpose public person. And this person is pretty much, you can read there what it is, but what it is people that have like their 15 minutes of fame, right? That for whatever circumstances, they draw the same attention as the one that we just saw, but this one is more like ephemeral, right? Like it doesn't stay for, it's not always like that. It just says for a month, two, maybe a year, but then they always go back and disappear, right? They kind of become yesterday's news. But for the time being, while the thing is going on, they are in every news station or TV shows, and so they are kind of very visible, just like a public figure, right? I always think, well, not always, but I think Stormy Daniels, right? Like, when, I'm sorry, but that's kind of the ones that comes to mind. Do you guys have another one? You know,
The Trump sex scandal.
during, well, you
Yeah,
guys don't know.
porn star, sure.
Well, she had her, you know, limited purpose public person moment, right? Where she was in every talk show and every news cast.
I think describing her like that.
So it's that. It's like somebody who has that 50. Who else can we think of? Apparently my example didn't resonate too well with everybody. What? Who was it? Which one? Say it.
What?
You said what? You said Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow? No, I mean, yeah. But you guys get the gist of it. What is important here is that you understand this notion, right? That is somebody who gets into the spotlight, gets a lot of publicity, draws a lot of interest from the public, but this is something that doesn't last. It's just like, you know, a month, two, a year maybe at the most, and then it kind of disappears. Nobody, like you guys don't even know what's Stormy Daniels
Joe
anymore.
Flacco after this.
You know, at the beginning of 2016, around
For a few
2017,
games.
it was,
He's gonna disappear.
everybody was talking about, right? So it's kind of a that deal, right? So in those,
He'll be gone in the next 2 years.
so that person has that instant recognition and constant media coverage on local levels. And they have to prove the same thing as the public figure, right? So if they must prove actual knowledge to recover damages. So it's the same, they have to prove the same as the public figure in order to recover damages if they file a defamation lawsuit or claim. Everybody good with that? And then the last category was private person. So the private figure, anyone who is not involved in public issues or employed as a public official, right? So it's just your everyday Joe, you, me, everybody else. Well, some of you are kind of a celebrity, Tony. Celebrity. Well, you're kind of a public, you know.
Yeah.
Do you fall under the
We do.
public figure? Yeah. So you see, but everybody else, as common people, you know, we're kind of a private figures, right? Since private figures do not have the same access to the media and therefore the same opportunity to refute defamatory statements, they only need to prove that an alleged defamatory statement was negligently made. So they pretty much have to prove that negligence that people didn't do. They don't have to kind of prove that actual malice intent, right, or intent of malice. They just say, okay, that was just negligently made. That statement that you made, right? You wasn't true. You didn't do your research about it. Do you understand it now? Why then the court decided to categorize people into these three different groups? It's kind of to provide standard of how much you have to prove when you are making a defamation claim, right? So depending on who you are, depending on what your status is based on those three groups, you will have a different set of standards of proof, right? Or burden of proof, if you will, when it comes to making that claim, right? Comments or questions about that? Anything that you might still have a little bit of a doubt or questions about? discussed so far? Is it because it's Wednesday?
How would you do that with slander? Like how would you, like for a private figure, prove, you know, that slander was made?
Well,
Like if it's just orally, I mean, what if it's, you know,
yeah.
there's no, I guess, no witnesses, I guess, you understand?
Well,
Or
remember
would
that.
you have to prove it like in front of like, so like someone go on TV or something, that would be in the radio?
Well, remember that one of the
Although-
elements of defamation
This is a
is
movie, isn't it?
that it has to be publicized or it has to be made public to a third party. So you, when you are claiming a defamation, you know, when you have a defamation claim, you probably have already stipulated the elements are there, right? So remember that one of them is that this comment has been made to somebody else, and that's how your reputation gets tarnished, right? Because of the public, because everybody else in your community knowing about it, and because you said so, because that other party told them, right? So that would be kind of how you prove that there was either said orally or in writing, right?
Oh,
That kind of takes care of it. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, that makes sense now.
All right. If it doesn't, we can kind of try a different way.
Yeah.
Got
No,
it?
I just didn't know what's meant by publication to the third party, but now that makes sense
Yeah,
now though.
yeah. It has to be that somebody else knew about it for it to be defamation. If person A and person B are having an argument and then they're calling each other names, this, you know, every name in the book, that's that. Just two people going at it, or one people kind of, you know, verbally abusing the other one. But that's it, right? That's kind of where it starts, because if, let's say it's in a private room, you know, that's that. That's probably a different type of accusation or law, right? I don't know, verbal assault, I don't know. But defamation is more about your reputation being called into question with your community, members of your professional career, or anything else, right?
Yeah.
That affects you because of that. Oh, now people are thinking that I'm this or that I'm that because of what this person said, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, does that clears it up a little bit?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
All right, so like, yes, David.
Just trying to clear that up, would that be like, say there was some coworkers and an incident happened and somebody said, well, this guy doesn't work too good, so one coworker heard it and then he goes and spreads it to everybody else?
All right. So, hold on. All right. So one coworker was told that he didn't do his job very well.
Yeah,
By whom?
by like a supervisor.
By the supervisor. Somebody overheard it, and then he went and told everybody. That sounds more like gossip, in that the supervisor is telling him. So if the guy goes and tells everybody, hey, the supervisor just told John that he doesn't do his job very well, he's just kind of a gossiping, right? Because remember, the statement must be false, and you have to know that it's false for it to be defamation. Does that make any sense? If you are just kind of relaying something that is true, you know, again, you're just kind of like gossiping, creating drama, and that type of deal. So defamation has that element that the statement has to be false. So it's more like, to kind of like use your example, we stay with John being the worker, the employee in your example. And then you have Albert, you know, who's the co-worker who spread the rumor. But instead of spreading the rumor about him hearing the supervisor telling John that he didn't do his job very well, what he started is a rumor, what he started saying that John is taking part, you know, taking some of the material from work, he's taking it home. So he's pretty much stealing. And this is something that he's just making up, right? And he just goes about around the factory plant and tells everybody about it, right? How John is stealing, you know, from the company. So that would be a defamatory statement there, right? It's true, he knows it's not true, he just made it up and went and tell everybody in the workplace. Does that make any sense? How is it different? It has to be something that is pretty much made up, that you know that it's not true, and that you pretty much know that it's going to tarnish somebody's reputation, right?
Does there have to be actual damages too? Like
Yeah, it has to be,
fired or-
exactly. And then as a result, yeah, there is this investigation, an inquiry, and probably John gets suspended while the investigation is being conducted without pay, and you know, so those damages, yeah, that's one of the elements, right? So actually it has to kind of inflict some sort of a damage, actual damage to the victim, right? All right, everybody good on that front? Any other things that we need to clear up before we move on? Lynn? No? Okay. Right. All right, everybody good? All right. So, you know, our system is based also on the notion of due process, on being able to defend oneself of, you know, in the court of law. If we are accused of something, you know, in front of in the legal system, then we do have that right of due process, right to defend ourselves. So defamation is not the exception. We also have defenses for defamation. If, you know, we get accused of defaming somebody else, then there are certain defenses that we have at our disposal. What are some of the defenses? What would be defenses for defamation that you can think of? Based especially on the elements of defamation, right? Usually your defenses come out of your elements, almost. Or some of them, anyways. If you think about it. Yes?
Probably that they believed it to be true or it didn't cause damages.
All right, yeah. All right. Anybody else? What's the, yes, Jay?
But they didn't have like any malice intention.
And they didn't have any malice intention. All right. Yeah. All right. What else? So truth, no matter intention, that type of deal, right? All right. So truth is one of them. Like we were talking about David's example. You know, if it was true, it's not really. If what you are making public is true, it's not really a defamatory statement, right? You can call it some other things, you know, you can call it like I was selling gossip or trying to start some controversy, but it doesn't amount to defamation if what you're saying is true, right? It may be inappropriate, it may be inconsiderate, it may be any other stuff, right? But it's not defamation if it is true. Does that make any sense? Absolute defense in all claims of defamation. So that's pretty much like the absolute antidote, right, for a defamation defense. If you can prove that what you said is true, or that it gets proven that what they say about you is true, then game over pretty much, right? That's kind of a checkmate there. Then we have the notion of privilege. And privilege has like subcategories. We're going to talk a little bit about it. The subcategories of privilege are absolute privilege. Then we have